Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of More Than Makeup, where the brushes are soft but the takes are hot. So, recently, I had the opportunity to visit a school and interact with the students from the 10th and 12th standard. This was actually part of my internship program. Now, before going there, I carried a sense of optimism. Why? Because, see, I have completed my schooling like 5 years ago, and for some reason, I believe that these students who are growing up with access to endless information and conversations about mental health, about identity, and self expression would be far more open minded than I was when I was in school. And I expected them to challenge old stereotypes, speak more freely about their insecurities, and have a healthier understanding of concepts like masculinity and vulnerability. But as the conversations unfolded, that optimism of mine slowly turned into reflection. The students were bright, aware, and informed, no doubt, but still, many of their views echoed the same beliefs and fears that existed when I was their age. When discussion touched on insecurities, there was still hesitation. When the topic of masculinity came up, many still associated with strength and emotional restraint. Vulnerability was often seen as something risky rather than something human. And the more I thought about it, the more I understood why. We often assume that young people are shaped primarily by the internet or social media. But long before society reaches them online, it reaches them through their immediate environment. Schools, in particular, play a much bigger role than we often acknowledge. They are not just places where students learn mathematics, science, or literature. They are spaces where young people learn how they are expected to behave. And walking out of that school, I realized that the issue isn't that this generation lacks awareness. The issue is that awareness alone is not enough. A student can know the language of mental health, can understand the importance of emotional well being, and still feel unable to express themselves because of the expectations that are imposed by their surroundings. What I witnessed wasn't a failure of the students. It was reflection of the systems around them, or I can say system around us. And perhaps that was the most emotional part of the experience. I had gone there expecting to see students that had left many of the struggles that we faced. Instead, I saw young people carrying the same invisible burdens, only in a different time. It reminded me that real change doesn't happen just because society becomes modern. It happens when our schools become safer spaces for honest conversations, when stereotypes are challenged rather than reinforced, and when young people are taught that their worth is not defined by how well they fit into society's expectations. Until then, generations may change, but many of the struggles will remain the same.